That's to show you how Christmassy we are this morning.
All 42 of them.
Yes, no, there are a lot. An Aussie couple who use their humble home in Sydney as an office has turned a small idea into a $35 million empire.
This is so good. I love these success stories. Just 15 employees, the skincare brand called Do It, I think, raked in $2.5 million in just one day, all thanks to the Chinese shopping event Singles Day, which we've heard so much about. Our Masters of Spin join us now, advertising experts Matthew Bywater and Dee Madigan. Good morning to you both. Maddie, let's start with you. How much of a game changer is it to enter the Chinese market? I mean, I think we're getting a pretty strong clue here.
This is huge. And if you look at Alibaba, who dominates that market, they have about 80% of the e-commerce market in China. They will have, the Chinese market in the next 2 years will be about 58-60% of the total e-commerce market. But to put it in perspective, Singles Day this year topped $30 billion US. Now, if you compare that to Black Friday for Amazon, last year I think about $5 billion. Wow. So they are in the right place at the right time.
And it all started as a bit of a joke, really, amongst singles in
2009.
China.
They did nearly $8 million the first year. $8 million, now
I think
$30
it started
billion.
for blokes. It was Bachelor's Day first, and then they called it Singles Day. And the reason is because the ones, the one,
Yes,
one,
that's right.
one,
Yes.
one. And as you said, it's now 4 times bigger than the 2 massive American shopping days.
So $2.5 million in a day. Look, any business would be mad not to get on board. But how? How did business get on board?
Well, they got on board when there was a really big cold snap in China. Everyone's skin was obviously, your skin dries out. So they actually chose a time and went in there. So it was just the clever marketing, right time, right place. And once you get into the Chinese market.
So are you doing it on your own website or are you using somebody else's website? Because obviously you're going to need to know language and all of those sorts of logistics and peculiarities. How did they go about it?
So they're doing it for Alibaba, which is, I shouldn't say Amazon for China, but they don't like that comparison. But that's kind of the same route to market. And to put it in perspective, there's a term they use for Alibaba in the US, and it's called the toll booth to the middle class. Right. Because there's a growing middle class. Actually, Alibaba have a passport section, which is their high spend people, which there's 100,000 spend $45,000 US a year on Alibaba alone on shopping.
So I don't know about you. I'm sure lots of people are, right, what have I got at home? What can I come up with? What do they want in China that we could make?
But they actually started it here. They looked at, they were in a hospital or something. They saw a need for this sort of cream. So it started out of realising there was nothing in the Australian market that was a barrier cream that they thought was well made and made in Australia.
Just brilliant, isn't it?
It's so smart and good on them, because it's not a fly-by-night thing. They built this up slowly.
And they're doing it, as a family business.
Totally.
It's just fantastic. The whole family is involved. I love it. Now, desperate times calls for desperate measures, especially in the case of a real estate agent who used semi-nude models to sell a house in the US. This is interesting because it's actually got the other real estate agents up in arms about it, saying this is actually lowering the tone of our industry, which is saying a lot.
It's well, the question I always have is every time you're doing a piece of marketing or advertising, are you enhancing your brand or are you detracting from it? And the problem here is that you're talking about people spending generally the largest amount of money they're going to spend in their lifetime on a 20 to 30-year mortgage. Does this build trust? Because trust is a high factor here. It doesn't work well for them. Yeah, they're getting lots of clicks and views, but we don't even know if they're clients.
And the house hasn't sold. And that's the thing, is that you're paying money for all these people to look at it who are not doing anything. If you're selling a house, you've only got a certain amount of people who are going to look at it anyway. You're actually better off putting that money into search engine optimization. So every word they look for, you answer.
Now, the pictures were taken off the website eventually, which obviously makes sense. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if we've got a big purchase or we're just interested in looking, Amy and I'll sit down in the front of the laptop together. If those pictures come up, what do you reckon's going to happen to the laptop?
Yeah, exactly. It's putting off female buyers particularly, and I don't think male buyers. It's a family home. You're right. They're looking for it as a couple. No.
Yeah, that's cheap tricks. That's just cheap tricks.
I did like the real estate agent's response, though, when they were told, she was told, it was a female, that there had been heaps of complaints. And she said, oh, sweet. This means that it's going to attract everyone there. She got 6 people to look through the house, apparently.
No one's bought it.
Back to Alibaba. I wonder if they need Christmas trees in China. We've got plenty of those there.
Up for grabs. Don't go anywhere.
Guys.
Weekend Sunrise.